Hi everyone, welcome. It's Nicole from Healthy NYC. Today we're going to be practicing a fun Vinyasa flow with binds and twists. I'm not going to be using any props in this practice, but if you'd like, you could have a couple of blocks or a strap. So let's start down on our backs. Taking a few moments in Savasana to get settled into our practice. Shoulders down, palms facing up to the sky. Maybe set an intention for your practice today. Taking a few breaths here. And when you're ready, let's bring our right knee into the chest. You can either hold on to the back of the leg or your shin. Go ahead and circle out your ankle, maybe move the hip from side to side, just getting some mobility going. And let's take this into a twist. So right knee crosses over the left leg. Right arm is placed out to the side. Shoulder blade pressing into the mat, collarbones up to the sky. You can either look straight up or towards your right hand if you'd like a stretch in your neck. Take some nice deep breaths into the lower back here. And let's come back to center. We're going to take reclined pigeon, so bend your left knee, place your right ankle over the left knee, and you can either keep your left foot down on the floor or hold on to the back of your thigh. Gently squeezing that thigh in so you can feel a nice stretch in the right hip. And let's take one more breath here. Gently let that go and bring your left knee into your chest. If this is uncomfortable for you for any reason, you can always feel free to bend your right leg and place your foot down on the mat. Again, we're just circling the ankle, swaying the hip from side to side, getting warmed up in our hips for our practice today. And let's take this into a twist. So left knee moves over the right leg, left arm is out to the side, collarbones facing up to the sky, shoulder blade pressing into the floor, and feel free to look towards your left hand if you'd like a stretch in your neck. Taking a few deep breaths here in this pose, relaxing into the stretch. And let's come back to center and take reclined pigeon pose on the other side. So bending the right knee, pulling that in towards your chest, placing the left ankle over the knee and holding onto the back of your thigh. Again, you can feel free to keep your right foot down on the floor if this is uncomfortable for any reason. Getting a really beautiful stretch in that left hip. And let's let that go. Pull both knees in towards your chest, give them a little squeeze. Maybe rock a little side to side, massaging the lower back. And cross at the ankles. Let's come up into tabletop position for cat and cow. So your knees are aligned under your hips. Your fingers are spreading nice and wide. Shoulders and wrists are aligned. Take an inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, curl tailbone up. And exhale, round through the spine, chin to chest. Just take a few more at your own pace with your own breath. Feeling a nice stretch in your shoulders, your upper back. Getting warmed up in our spine. Let's take one more full round here. So inhaling and exhale, contract. Coming back to a neutral spine, let's go ahead and walk our hands forward and move into our first downward dog. So you're curling the toes under, fingers spreading nice and wide, tailbone up to the sky, lower belly hugging in. Try and keep the elbows straight and your head heavy. Then you can go ahead and paddle out the feet, whatever feels good in your body here. Let's take a few more breaths here, settling into the pose. And when you're ready, right leg up to the sky. Go ahead and bend that knee, open up your hip nice and wide. Shoulders pressing down. Straighten out that right leg and let's move forward into our low lunge. So left knee comes down. Your ankle and your knee are aligned on the right side. And go ahead and lift the arms up, pulling that lower belly in. Try not to crease too much in the lower back, and you can hold your hands as I am here or plant them together, whatever's more comfortable. Hips are pressing forward and down. Take one more breath here. Let's circle the arms wide and move into our half split. So straighten that right leg. Feel free to bend your knee if your hamstrings are tight. Your toes are up to the sky, flexing into that foot and making sure that both hip bones are facing forward. I am relaxing my upper body to really focus on the hamstrings here. Take one more breath in the pose. And let's make sure that your left arm is under your shoulder. We're going to take a twist. So right arm up to the sky. Really make sure that you're pressing that right heel into the mat to hold your balance. One more breath. And coming back to center, both hands down on the mat. Let's crawl our fingers forward. Move into our easy twist. So left toes are curled under. Right arm goes up to the sky. Try not to pop that left shoulder too far forward so we're nice and stable in the pose. Take one more breath here. And let's take a half bind. So you can move your right arm either behind your lower back or towards your hip crease. Trying to keep that shoulder nice and open. Take one more breath. Both hands down to the mat. Let's move into a flow. Step back into plank. Inhale, exhale, chaturanga. You can take cobra or up dog. And exhale into your downward dog. Let's take a cleansing breath here in through the nose. and out through the mouth. When you're ready, left leg goes up to the sky, bend that knee, open that hip nice and wide. Both shoulders are pressing down. Straighten the left leg, and let's step forward carefully into our low lunge. Right knee's down, lifting up. Go ahead and take your arm position of choice here. Feeling that nice stretch in the right hip flexor. Hips are pressing forward and down, trying not to crease too much in the lower back. Let's take one more breath and circle the arms wide, moving into our half splits on the left side. Straighten out that leg, toes up to the sky. Bend your knee again if your hamstrings are tight. Let's take a few breaths here. Opening up the hamstrings. And make sure that your right arm is under your shoulder. We're going to take that twist. So left arm is going up to the sky. Really digging that left heel into the mat to keep stable in the pose. Take one more breath. Coming back to center, both hands on the mat, crawling those fingers forward, moving into our easy twist. Right hand down, left arm is up to the sky. Take one more breath, and let's move into a bind on this side. So your left arm goes either behind your lower back or towards your hip crease on the right. Take one more breath here. Both hands down to the mat. Let's move into a flow. Inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. You can take cobra or up dog. Exhale back into downward dog. Let's take 3 breaths here. Let's bring our knees down to the mat. We're going to come back into tabletop pose to take balancing table. So again, you're going to want your knees aligned with your hips. Fingers are spreading nice and wide. Shoulders and wrists are aligned. A nice flat back. Pull that lower belly in, and let's stretch our right leg back and up, and your left arm forward. Try to keep a nice straight line here, not creasing too much. Lower back. And if you'd like to go further, you can take tiger pose. So grab onto that right foot and kick it up to the sky. Taking a little bit of a back bend here. One more breath. Go ahead and let that go. Left leg comes down to the mat. Keep your right leg up. Go ahead and spin over to the side so you're balancing on your left hand and your left knee. Reaching that right leg up to hip level. Right arm up to the sky. Feel free to keep your foot down if this isn't available to you. If it is and you'd like to go further, you can take a bind here. So grabbing onto that right foot, gently kicking it into your hand. There's a little bit of a back bend here as well. Take one more breath in the pose. Let's come back to center, tabletop pose, and take cat pose. Nice release in the lower back. Coming back, we're going to do balancing table on the other side. So left leg is up and back, hip bone facing down, right arm is forward. Really hugging in that lower belly to help support your lower back. And if it's available, go ahead and take your tiger pose. Kicking that left foot into the right hand. Focus on something that's not moving to hold your balance. One more breath here. Gently let that go. Keeping the left leg up. We're going to spin over to the side. Reach that right leg up if it's available to you. You can always keep your leg down. And go ahead and take a bind if you have your leg up. Nice stretch in the hip flexor. Take one more breath here in the pose. Let's gently let that go. Back to tabletop, and let's take cat pose to stretch out the lower back. Coming back to neutral, let's move into our downward dog. Stretch it out here. And let's take a flow. Ripple forward through to your plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to your back bend of choice. And exhale into downward dog. And when you're ready, left leg goes up to the sky. Keep it straight and square. And let's step it through to a warrior two. So back foot is parallel to the short end of the mat. You have a nice bend in your front knee. Arms out nice and wide. Neutral torso. And you're looking over your middle fingers on the right side. Generous bend in the front knee, trying to make sure that you're pulling that hip open and you're not collapsing. Let's take a bind here, so left hand behind your back. And inhale back to reverse. Nice stretch in that right side body. Generous bend in the front knee. Coming back to warrior two, we're going to move into extended side angle with a half bind. So you can either place your right forearm on top of your right thigh, or you can come down to the floor. Just making sure that you're spinning your heart open up to the sky, looking up if it's comfortable for your neck. If not, you can look straight forward. Let's take one more breath here. Coming back up to warrior two. Straighten that front leg and move the hips forward into triangle pose with a half bind. You can either place your hand on your inner shin or down to the floor. Looking up to the sky if that's comfortable. Let's take one more breath in the pose. Look down towards the mat. Start to bend into that right knee. Both hands down, and let's take a flow. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog. Let's take 2 breaths here. And when you're ready, left leg goes up to the sky. Keep it straight and squared. Stepping it through toward warrior two. Back foot is spinning parallel to the short end of the mat. Arms are spreading nice and wide, nice strong arms. Generous bend in the front knee. And let's go ahead and take a half bind and reverse. Feeling that nice stretch in the left side body. One more inhale here. Exhale back into warrior two, moving to extended side angle with a half bind. Again, placing your hand either down on the floor or your forearm on top of your thigh. Spinning that heart forward. And up. Take one more breath in the pose. Press into both feet to come up to warrior two. Straighten that front leg, and we're going to move into our triangle pose with a half bind. Feel free to adjust your back foot in if the stance is too wide. Heart spinning up to the sky, looking up if that's available. If not, you can look straight forward. Let's take one more breath in the pose. Go ahead and look down towards the mat. Bend into that front knee, both hands down to the mat, and let's take a flow. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. And exhale, downward dog. Let's take a cleansing breath here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And ready, reach that right leg up to the sky. Keep it straight and square. We're coming back into our warrior two. Nice strong arms, generous bend in that front knee. Take an inhale here. Let's go ahead and clasp our hands behind our back. Take an inhale to lift the chest. And exhale into humble warrior. Your head is nice and heavy. Keep the bend in the front knee. If this is uncomfortable for your shoulders, you can stay in warrior two. One more breath here. Come back up to warrior two, and we're going to move back into our extended side angle with a full bind this time. So if that's available, you're crossing your right arm under your right leg and clasping with your left hand in the back. You can use a strap here if you're close. If this isn't available, you can stay in extended side angle. Take one more breath here. Push into both feet to come all the way back up into warrior two. Straighten that front leg. And let's take a forward fold towards the left side of our mat. So both feet are parallel to the short end. Hands on your waist. Take an inhale to lift the chest. And exhale, bending from the waist. Hands down on the mat. Feel free to adjust your stance to your level of comfort. And you can either stay here or clasp your hands and take a shoulder stretch. Keeping the head nice and heavy, making sure there's not too much weight in your heels. Take one more breath here. Fingers go down to the mat, crawl them forward, flat back, and let's spin towards the top of our mat, both hands down, and let's take a flow. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Left leg goes up to the sky. Keep it straight and square. Coming back into our warrior two. Back foot is spinning parallel to the short end of the mat. Nice generous bend in that front knee. Take an inhale here, and let's clasp our hands behind our back, other thumb on top. Take an inhale to lift the heart up to the sky, and exhale into humble warrior. Again, stay in warrior two if this is not comfortable for your shoulders. Your head is nice and heavy. Try and keep generous bend in that front knee. Take one more breath, press into both feet to come back into our warrior two, and we're moving into extended side angle with a bind. If this is not available to you, feel free to stay in extended side angle without a bind. Heart rolling up towards the sky, looking up if that's comfortable. Take one more breath in the pose. Come back up, warrior two. Straighten that front leg, and let's take our forward fold. Hands on your waist. Inhale, look up. Exhale, bending from the waist. Hands down to the mat. Keep the head nice and heavy. And if you did it on the first side, go ahead and clasp your hands here, other thumb on top, and let's take a shoulder stretch. Be mindful of your breath, making sure that it's not short or shallow. Take one more breath in the pose. Hands down, pull your fingers forward. Let's move towards the top of our mat. Plant both hands, and let's take our flow. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. 3 breaths here. Fingers spreading nice and wide. Keeping the arms straight, tailbone up to the sky. When you're ready, right leg rises, and let's step it forward into our high lunge. So feet are about hip width distance apart. Use your core to come up. Generous bend in the front knee, and your left toes are curled under. Let's take a few breaths in this pose. Trying to keep your torso over your hips. You may have to bend your left knee. Let's take an inhale, bring our hands to heart center. We're going to move into a high lunge with a twist. So go ahead and place that left elbow over the right knee. Hands to heart center, pressing firmly. It's a nice strong pose. Take one more breath here. Gently put your left knee down and take a low lunge with a twist. Lower belly is hugging in, trying to keep that right shoulder down to free up the neck. One more breath. Let's go ahead and place both hands down on the mat and take a low lunge quad stretch. So reach that right arm back and grab onto your left foot if it's available to you. And you can take a twist here. A nice stretch in the quad. Gently let that back foot go, and let's take a flow. Both hands down on the mat. Inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to your back bend of choice. And exhale into downward dog. When you're ready, left leg rises, stepping it through to our high lunge. Nice strong core to lift yourself up. Generous bend in the front knee. Torso is aligned with your hips. Let's take an inhale here. Exhale, bring our hands to heart center, and let's take a twist on the other side. So right elbow gently placed on top of the left knee. Your hands are pressing firmly together, keeping that left shoulder down. Take one more breath in the pose. Gently bring that right knee down. So low lunge with a twist. One more full round of breath. Look down towards the mat. Both hands come down. We're going to take a low lunge quad stretch on the other side. If you cannot reach onto your foot, you can use a strap or just stay in a twist. One more breath here. Gently let that go. And let's move into a flow. Both feet back into plank. Inhale. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale. Upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Really stretch out here. Maybe see if your heels are closer to the mat than when you first started our practice. And when you're ready, bend your knees, lift your heels, and you could step or hop to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms reach up. Palms come together to touch. Exhale, hands at heart center. We're going to be moving into Malasana pose. I'm facing you so you can see me, but you can feel free to stay at the top of the mat. So your heels are in, toes turned out, hands at heart center, and let's lower into our yogi squat. You can use your elbows to gently press your hips open. Nice flat back. And if this is uncomfortable, you can use a block to sit on to help with the pose. Maybe take a moment and close your eyes. Sway a little from side to side, really enjoying this nice hip opener. And take one more breath here. If it's available to you, you can go ahead and bring your heels together, keep your toes turned out, and just take a forward fold here, grabbing onto the back of your heels. If this is not comfortable or available, you can stay in Malasana, getting a deeper stretch in the hips. Taking a few breaths here. And let's gently come down to seated position. We're going to take bound angle, so go ahead and place the soles of your feet together. Grab onto your two big toes. Inhale to lift the heart, and exhale, bending from the waist. You can make this passive. Just getting a beautiful stretch here in our inner thighs and hip flexors. Take a few more breaths in the pose. Try and go a little bit deeper just by relaxing your upper body, but not forcing anything. And let's come on up, walk the hands back in. You can use your hands to close your knees, and we're going to come down on our backs. Bring both knees into the chest. You can either stay here or move into happy baby by grabbing on to the outside of both feet. You can also grab onto your big toes. Elbows are on the inside, and you can use them to gently stretch your thighs a little bit more. Making sure your tailbone is pressing into the mat. Take one more breath here and gently let that go. We're going to move into a spinal twist. So move your hips over to the right of your mat and both knees over to the left. Right arm reaching out to the side, collarbones facing up. And you can feel free to look towards your right hand if you'd like, a stretch in your neck. Take a few minutes here. A few breaths, just breathing deeply into your lower back. Coming back to center. Let's move to the other side. So hips over towards the left side of your mat. Knees are dropping down to the right. Left arm is stretched out to the side. Collarbones facing up to the sky and trying to keep your shoulder blades pressing into the mat. Take one more breath here. Let's come back to center and move into Savasana, our final resting pose. Take up some space, shoulders down the back, palms facing up to the sky. Let's take a few minutes here to integrate all the work we've done in our practice today. Try to fully relax your body, letting go of any tension. Notice how you're feeling after the practice. Start to breathe a little deeper. Bring some movement back into the body. Maybe circling your wrists and your ankles. Swaying your head from side to side. Let's take a big morning stretch. Toes pointed, arms over the head. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Keeping your eyes closed, gently roll over to one side. Pausing for a moment. And press yourself up to a comfortable seated position and still keeping your eyes closed to focus inward. Place your hands at heart center. Gently bow your head towards your hands. Let's take one more round of breaths together to close our practice. Inhaling through the nose and exhale through the mouth. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this flow. Please do remember to like and subscribe and comment, and I hope to see you again soon on the mat. Namaste.